Hi, guys. Welcome to the podcast Slice of Life with Madhavi featuring Young India. Today, with me, I have two young adults, uh, Shanaya and Mayoukh, who will be talking on feminism. Are we there yet? Let's hear out from them. What do they know and what do they think about with first their introductions? Yeah, Shanaya, you go ahead first.
Hi everyone, my name is Shanaya and I'm 16 years old and I currently am studying in 11th grade.
Hi, I am Mayoukh and I'm currently pursuing my undergraduate in economics and I'm 18 years old.
Cool. Thanks. And welcome to the podcast. So, Mayoukh, I would like to know from you, what does feminism mean to you?
Traditionally, women were sort of looked down upon in society, and we could see that happening because they weren't really allowed to participate in activities such as voting in elections and the likes. And feminism, you could say, is a movement to put women on par with men, and it's a fight against the patriarchy in a way.
Okay. Fight against patriarchy. Oh, that's a big word. Um, Shanaya, explain me about, help me understand more about patriarchy, how it is included or ingrained in our society, especially the Indian society, and what do you think about it?
So I think patriarchy honestly has its deep roots. It starts from the very beginning, like even before independence, especially in India. It's a very dominant topic, quite a dominant thing in India. Um, Before, not now. Like when we talk, the head of the family was considered the eldest male person of the family, was considered the head of the family, in the when you study about history. And patriarchy just generally, favoring men in the family or men. Yeah. So just favoring men in general, I would say, even in business wise, it's not that much as it used to be before because this topic is talked about a lot. But just position wise, looking down upon women, right to education, for example, women didn't have the freedom to go to school or get educated. So I think that's where patriarchy and the biasness comes, that dominance which men had over women.
Why do you think that men dominated over women for so many years, or maybe it still exists? Why do you think so?
I think the society was very closed. Right now, I think with the help of the internet and the 21st generation, where we are so open, where we have social media, that is, that topic has sort of changed now, where in India we're talking about these things. But before, when we talk about India, when there weren't, when there wasn't any technology, and we were just, I think just closed four walls, our knowledge was very limited, and basically information that was passed down from generations, just favoritism. I won't say favoritism, but just biasness and dominance. That was, I don't know why it was considered in such a way, but there was this dominance, maybe I think characteristics or personality behind a male which wasn't associated with the female. I think that and those, gender talks which used to happen over generations that were passed down eventually. It's because of that very reason, I think, that there was a lot of patriarchy before. However, now I feel 21st century technology, internet, phones, there's so much going on around the world that we get to know, in a matter of seconds, where we can watch, videos and protests that are going on. Right now, we have a much broader mindset about this topic, and we have the right and freedom to give our own opinion about it, and it's accepted in the society.
Okay, maybe this is a question for Mayoukh. Mayoukh, do you think that um, th- there is still the need of feminism in India because women are still striving to get equality? Do you think so?
To an extent, yes. In many sections of society, women are underrepresented. That is true. And I would just like to add one more point to whatever Shania said. I think historically, statistically speaking, there have been always have been more men than women.
Yeah.
So maybe that explains why men were more dominant overall. But yeah, that shouldn't be the only reason. There must have been other reasons as well. But yeah, back to your question. So I personally feel that women are indeed underrepresented in a lot of the sections of the societies, especially like the rural areas. Women are still very much looked down upon, and like the patriarchal mindset still thrives there. So
Yeah.
like education hasn't really yet reached every female child. I would
Yes, that's true.
even like to
Like when we
point out.
think about this, like rural, urban, especially, there's the backward society that's there, which it's not looked down upon, but it's not really influenced. It hasn't opened up to this conversation that much. There's still the society in India. It's pretty much divided. I would still say there has been improvement, but only in the urban society. I'd say where maybe the middle class or the upper class are informed about these things in the urban area. But when we still think about the rural regions, they still don't know about these things. They're not up to
Um,
date with such things.
I will have a contention over here. So when we say that, women in rural in India are not represented or something like that, I would say when it comes to farm jobs, right? So there you see equal representation of men versus women over there. So traditionally, it has always been like this. Like there has been always women representation on the farms doing menial work. Which many men even are not doing. So when we say that there is a great divide, where do you think it comes from? And of course, that you said maybe education and getting C-level jobs, etc. However, I would like to ask a direct question to maybe Shanaya first. That do you see this patriarchal approach or maybe inequality in your own house, or
Not in
maybe
my own house. No, not
with your
here.
friends or
Mm-mm.
someone in who is close
No.
by?
Personally, I haven't really encountered or seen such a thing. But when I talked about like rural areas, the reference I was giving is yes, maybe it has become better. Women are getting opportunities, but categorically, what type of jobs they're getting compared to men, that is different. There is a difference there, I would say. Like I've heard some cases, maybe the history where, some things have been taken up to the court, how sometimes firms and companies do not take up women because when they're on maternity leave for 9 months or for a certain amount of time, when they're pre-maternity, I think post-maternity, they are on a leave, and that somewhere people, because of that thing, women are not hired. I remember reading about this article where there was some case that was taken to the court because there was a low percentage of women, and the reason why was the firm was not taking women in if they were married, because they would take
That's
maternity
surprising.
leaves and
Yeah.
they wouldn't get jobs. They would be fired or they would be told asked to leave. So that's where
So,
somewhere I feel definitely a position should be taken to stand, you know.
so in
But yeah,
your house, Shanaya, how the gender roles are divided? Like, does your father like equally does like household chores, and your mother equally does everything that is like driving or everything? Is it like equally distributed? Even about your responsibility, is it
mm,
equally divided between them, or
it
your
is.
mother is the primary caretaker? How it
No,
goes?
honestly, no. The best example to give to prove my point that there's no division is I think probably the COVID-19, because we all were inside the house and we all were working. So sometimes my dad would be literally, holding a jharu or a mop, helping all of us. My mom would be in the kitchen. We would all be helping and we would have like, schedules. COVID-19 is the best example I can give you, where work was like, we were inside the house, locked inside, we couldn't step out. So we had work allocated, but not in a way where there was a biasness or anything. It was all inequality terms. Like, there was no preference that, okay, this is a male or a female, so they should be doing this, they should be doing that. There was no such thing that ever hindered, what our thought process was like.
Okay. Mayuk, what about you? So, um, do you see patriarchal things happening around that too from a man's lens? Do you see that happening with you, your friends, in your family, or in your extended family? Do you see that?
To be honest, not really. Like you see, the patriarchal mindset is sort of have been passed over time in our mindset, but not like the hardcore thing. Like there are some subtle like instances like suppose my mom if she goes out, usually me or my father accompanies her. It's not like she's not allowed to go out alone, but more like we prefer to accompany her because it's like for her safety. Not like again, it's not like you get that. Not like she cannot protect herself or like she's weak or something like that. It's just that she doesn't have to do it all alone. We are there to like protect her and the likes. Again, it's a very like again, as I told you, like if I put it very bluntly, it would seem very patriarchal. But again, not looking down upon on my mother.
No, no, we are
Like
not doing that. So I'll tell you one of the incidents that I had. I was conducting a session on gender equality in one of the colleges, and one of this kid, like, like your age, Shanaya, he comes up and he says, we give permission to our mothers and sisters to go out of the home. That means we are giving them freedom. Oh, dude, who are you to give them freedom, right? I mean, um, so again, as you said, protection and all, is she asking for it, or does she really need it? So these are the things that we have to really consider. Also about gender roles, Mayok, like Shania said that it is actually divided in her house, but is it the similar condition in your house, or is it your mother is your primary caregiver and your father is secondary, whose main purpose is to bring money and something like that? How it goes in your house? Can you like put some light on it?
yeah. So like in my family, it's a very cliched like middle class family, and to be honest, like me being the single child, and like I've been very close to my mother from a very young age, and like she's the one I go to every time. Like she quite naturally happens to be my like primary caregiver. Like I mean, I can share literally anything with her. So like uh, I would go ahead and say like I do not really spend that much time with my father. Uh, Mostly because I end up spending that time with my mother. And in my family, well, my mom personally enjoys to like cook for us and do the chores and all. Like she tells us that she like enjoys doing that. But again, we are always there to like help her out, and often we try to like help her out. Like
No, no,
like
I get that. So
yeah. So like
mostly women have this sense because maybe they're used to doing that. They will say that they like it. Um, Honestly, if you ask me, I really don't like it. So
so
yeah,
So
cooking
like
is some.
I'll give you an instance. Suppose my mom is cleaning some room. Okay. Now if I try to help her out, she gets very angry on me. Like she loves to do the stuff on her own because she feels I will mess up and I'll end up like adding more work to her workload and the likes. So like she really hates doing that, man, like hates like allowing us to like help out in ways, but try we try and like again
Honestly, she's
like
an
as
independent woman. She's an independent
yeah
woman.
pretty much so like again as Shania pointed out during the COVID-19 period we all were at home. Then my father was did a lot of chores because quite naturally the house help
because
wasn't coming
because there was
and
Yeah,
no
like
option.
in my house, I
uh,
initially, for the first time, I actually saw my father cutting vegetables and cutting onions and everything.
Yeah,
I have
see,
images of that.
this is
So,
what the difference
yeah,
is. That means the gender bias exists. There is always the division of
yes.
roles. Yeah,
Hmm.
and like it could be in a very gentle way, or it could be very evident also. Sometimes we
Yeah.
just don't understand that it's happening around us, but it is actually happening. So like I
Actually, I
said,
do agree with that. Sometimes I can say, sorry to interrupt you, when it comes to like cooking.
yeah.
So we do have a Didi who cooks food for us. But maybe I would say my dad is not much of a cook. So sometimes when he wants, some other taste of food, my didi is not there, then maybe my mom cooks for him. That's why when I said, for the first time when we were in the house during COVID-19, no one was coming. That was the first time I actually saw my dad actually doing such chores, which weren't like forbidden or prohibited. It's just that because now we were all together and both my parents work, so they go out to work and everything. It's not just one parent's inside. So that's the first time I saw him, because sometimes my mom used to come back, so she would cook something for him, just anything, any situation, that wise. But I never really saw, like, I would see my dad doing simple things, not something very fancy that way, like making some simple basic, like maybe toast or egg and bread, something like that. But nothing like cutting onions, chopping vegetables or something like that. That is something first time I saw, like that side of him. So probably like it's unintentional. We don't really recognize or identify those things, but they are probably considered in that, sort of category which we don't really, talk about that much or
Yes.
identify it.
They are there, but we don't identify, or we
Yeah.
consider them as very extremely granted. Like mother in the kitchen and father driving is such a, such a scene that has been ingrained in our brains, that we are like, it's usual, this is what we think. So
Yeah.
again, pointing out to, where this patriarchy comes from and all, I think what happened was there were gender roles defined, of course, in the very primitive ages, where men used to go for hunting and women used to take care of the food and the kids. However, what I feel is, once the money came to into in the hands of men, like once they became financially independent, they never had to ask permission. But that independence, that financial independence, came to women at a very later age, like, recently, I would say. And after
Mhm.
that, the permission thing, like, as I said, that guy told me, we give permission to my mom. Dude, you are 15 or 16 and your mom must be, I don't know, 40. And who are you to give her the permission, right? So
Yeah.
this is quite a funny situation over here. And
Mhm.
in a very unbiased, or in a very funny way, or I would say, I really got an unbiased opinion from him, that how gender
Mhm.
uh, inequality or looks like in India. So yeah, that was something
It's a very
I
raw
saw.
moment, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
About you guys. So what I feel is, only 2% of women make it to, the top C-level jobs, right? And why do you think it happens? Cut this, okay? There are very few women in STEM, or there are very few women who climb that ladder because they have to be primary caregiver for their kid. That's why they don't reach the C level. So what do you think the society can do to have more women into the C level jobs? um this is like my first question. And the second question is, there are many companies who are hiring women just to, for the sake of, completing that quota, like we need 50% representation of women in the company. What do you think should be done for that as well? Over to you,
Well,
Shanaya. Yeah.
I can answer the first question. I feel like there is a lot of differentiation. Something that I noticed was I was taking like I'm a STEM student, so I have computer science. And when I joined my computer science class, I was the only girl studying computer science. There were 11, 12 guys, and I was the only girl. And my teacher was she surprised. She was happy, I think. She was like, for the first time after so many years, I actually have one girl in my computer science class amongst so many boys. So she begged me not to leave because of the boy pressure, which she thought I might be experiencing, but that wasn't true. And I've always seen, I just think encouragement and opening up, talking about this topic, it's really shut down when you have a narrow view about something. When you only say, okay, STEM only men are there, a lot of only men are there. I think that just narrows down the window, and just, when people think about it, they always just talk about the first thought that comes, okay, this is like a very uh, I would say maybe an area of specialization where mostly men are there. So talking about these things, opening it up to women as well, giving them the opportunity. Somewhere I feel STEM, where STEM has lacked, is because right to education in India is not really that free yet. in the urban society when we talk about it, yes, it is, but it's not leveled everywhere. The schools, the type of education you get, it's not the same. Government schools are different from private schools for sure. So that way, the education, the divisions also that are there, you know, there's this sort of biasness I have noticed somewhere. I've talked to a couple of people I've seen. So there, I feel encouragement towards girls to support them and encourage them to take subjects like these. Because I've heard sometimes, I've literally heard this once or twice, where girls were shut down from taking science or STEM subjects because it's very tough and they can't handle it. So giving them encouragement, and openly talking about this, that girls are allowed to be part of this and not to be afraid to go into some specialized area or specialization where only men are there. You know, Men should be there to support them as well. It shouldn't be just cut down or cut throat to biasness in that way. I feel there should be improvement within the society that way.
Yeah. So
That's
how
what
do
I
you
think it
think
is.
your parent or your father or your cousins or your brother supporting you in this case?
How they supported me? Well, honestly, I was very surprised myself. I did not think, when I'm giving the example of my computer science class, that I would be the only girl. I was kind of shocked when I saw about it, and I talked to my parents, and they were also very surprised. That's actually ironically something that motivated me to get into this thing, because I aim to get into, when I apply for my colleges, I want to get into computer science. And I've got to know, whenever I talk to people, that's actually one thing that said, oh, not many girls do computer science. It's actually, weird for people to hear when I say, okay, I want to
That's
apply in
not
computer
right.
science.
So I come from an engineering
Yes.
background, and most of my friends took computer, and I was the only one who took petroleum engineering. So it's quite quite
But
different
I've
thing.
actually heard this, and I
Yeah.
actually saw it, in my class when I joined, that I was the only girl. So, in fact, I, for some reason, felt encouraged, and that also gave me the motivation to be part of, STEM, and also encourage my friends and other people who I see who are maybe afraid of it, to motivate them and get into this part.
Yeah.
Because
Maybe
some
you should
people are just afraid of the pressure they see by, maybe, just I think the male dominance. They just get, pressurized by that and step out of it.
yeah, and maybe you should encourage your friends to come to our podcast as well.
Yeah, that's why I'm actually doing this podcast, because that whole being part of this thing is, I've in level 3 to get the subject choices. So when I got into this, I have a mix of finance and science. And when I was doing these, I realized, okay, not many girls are into it, especially computer science.
Got
I
it.
talked to my teacher as well. I got to know not many girls do it. And when I told people I'm looking forward to applying computer science, the first question response was, "Oh, not many girls do it."
Got it. I
You
mean,
know.
that is very surprising because, as I said,
Hmm.
I did engineering, and in my engineering college, like 50% of the girls in a class of 120, 50% of the girls were like 60 were girls in computer science. Like there was 50-50 distribution when it came to computer science. So yeah, maybe
Mhm.
not this early, but yeah, at the stage of engineering, there are there. But I'm really proud
Maybe
that you
yes.
are leading by example and making your friend, take it up. So it's a it's very encouraging. Yeah, Mayuk, would you like to answer the second question? Um,
Lack of women in C-level jobs.
yes.
But
And how can we bridge this gap?
um, well, it's really.
We really need support from people like you, people, especially men, to support us,
I
because
mean,
I would say behind a successful woman there is behind a successful man there is always a woman, but behind a successful woman has to be a number of men supporting her, starting from her father till her partner, I would say.
I mean,
So sorry, just
there.
putting the words in your mouth. Now you can build it on if you want.
There are indeed lot of like women who are leading by example in like the top C-level jobs. But again, the numbers are scarce. Uh, but at this moment, I do not really feel that is there a gender divide. I'm too young to really understand it because I haven't really stepped into the corporate world as of yet. and I haven't really seen any gender discrimination yet, to be honest. So I'm just answering from my perspective. So like yes, I mean there must be enough competent women to like lead companies, but again the question arises: do the men leading the company find women and to be competent enough? Maybe there's seems to be a lack of support, uh, which does not really allow the women to like step in charge. Maybe again, like we were discussing, women are expected to be the primary caregivers, and that's why a lot of women can't really even pursue their higher education, or maybe pursue their passion, or like they give up their careers of sorts to like take care of the household, which is a very common scenario in like Indian households. Like I will just tell you like a post I was reading. So uh, I I'll like it's not really like accurate whatever I'm saying, but something similar. So the person in question, so he was pursuing his like masters from some really good university abroad. So he was talking about his mother, how she pursued physics in the 70s, back when weren't even allowed to study, but she still pursued a master's in physics. And then she voluntarily gave up her career and education to like take care of the household. And how she tells everyone that her son's success is like her success as well, like how she is successful as a parent and a mother.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So like I guess women are more selfless in nature. They like to like give up their historically they have given up their careers and academics to like take care of the household, which
Yeah.
hasn't really been seen in the case of men. Again, you could point it to as per societal norms, because a man is traditionally expected to like bring in the money for the family. Like again, it puts societal pressure on the man as well, in a way.
Yes.
Like
Patriarchy
so,
has
it's
affected
both
man as
ways.
well a lot, a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah,
They
yeah,
have to
yeah,
work, they have to earn. Oh my God,
yeah,
why, why, why sitting idle can't be their choice? Like why
yeah,
a house being a house her husband can't be their choice? It should be by choice, right? Not and not being decided by the so you are our next generation, right? You are our future. You guys, both of you. So and I can see the leader in you because being on this podcast, coming here, talking about feminism, looks and everything, I have seen you guys like mature at such a young age. The society, like I expect a lot from you. The society expects a lot from you, especially when it comes to um changing the face of women in India. What do you think is the one thing that you would like to do as a person, or as a, as someone, to change the picture, to see more and more women participation, to see more and more women not giving up their jobs, to see more and more women in different kinds of job. um yeah, please help me understand this.
I think giving recognition to women in like specific fields of worlds, like I would like to introduce awards specifically only for women, to give only women recognition in whatever fields, in all the fields, whether it's like normal finance, they're just doing normal jobs, it's entrepreneurship, they have their own startups. Um, Only in India, I would say right now, or maybe globally as well, because I haven't seen like we see a lot of CEO positions. I don't know if it's just a coincidence or not. It's mostly, if you think about it right now, mostly taken by men. As far as I know, as far as I know, the topmost companies they are held by men. So I think in any field of work, I would keep it small scale in the beginning. Have a specific or just a separate arena for women where only women get recognition for whatever work they're doing. This will give them motivation and this will inspire other women and men to know that, okay, such people are doing such work. They have encouraged and inspired so many people. And seeing that, on television or getting that award, not only will it motivate that particular woman to be more internally driven to do the work she's doing, and not get demotivated, but will inspire other women as well who think maybe they don't have the caliber or the capacity or to do such things, to actually come up with an initiative which they actually can work upon. Because when I hear someone, doing something, that internally makes me more driven towards some idea which I want to achieve.
Got, got it. So you mean like creating more role models, creating more
Yes,
very identifiable role
and giving
models who can.
recognition in all
Yes,
fields, whether it's finance, entrepreneurship, or anything that they're doing. If it's in STEM or computer science, any achievements, giving women recognition and making others believe, okay, so many people have, from wherever they were, they have reached so far, so even you can do it, especially
got
women.
it. Got it. Mayok, what do you think? Being a man, how will you create a conducive environment for the women in your life, let's say, starting with not
Uh,
providing protection to your mom?
no, like uh, when I was talking about the protection part, I did mention that it does not imply she's weak in any way. I just like to accompany her, and she appreciates our presence as well. So it's like a reciprocation thing. Anyways, so I personally feel to motivate women to like go forward. We should start from the grassroots level, and we should always try to encourage them more um, through the smallest of actions, be it words of appreciation or maybe some small act which motivates them further. And it could be something as big as an award, as Shania mentioned, at the macro level, at the larger levels. But again, like uh, there might be some woman who's struggling with something, like be it your classmate. I'm not like limiting it to like a gender. I'm just like asking everyone to come forward and motivate each other and encourage each other, and the world will be a better place. like like we need not like limit it to men and women. Like the moment we think of it like that, we establish boundaries. We should just come together, irrespective of our like creed, caste, gender, everything. Just come together and try to encourage each other more and work hard towards our own aspirations. And uh, the only message I always like to give out is like never give up on your dreams. And so like never let the woman give up on her dreams because she has to take care of her family or something like that. That shouldn't be the case. Like we should like sensitize the society more about this. Like it doesn't necessarily mean that if a man takes leave to let the woman work harder towards her goals and he does not mind, the society shouldn't have a say in it. Like the the man is free to take care of the home for a while as well, to let the woman bloom in a way.
Exactly. It
So,
should be, I think, like cooking skills, driving skills, these
yeah,
are skills like
Yeah,
life-saving skills. So everyone should know them. And plus, at home, there should be equal, like, if you are a parent, there should be a co-parenting thing. There should not be a mother or father. And even when you are married, it should be, partners, not a husband and wife, because then you have roles defined to it. So, yeah, that's what I think, and I think here we'll stop with our not stop, but here we'll continue with our discussion on feminism and things like that. So before we stop, I would like to ask you few questions that are very rapid, that are just rapid, just as amazing as Coffee with Karan's questions. You have to answer them in a like you have to be very quick while answering them, but there is no gift pack or something like he gives. So yeah,
no hamper.
no
That's
hamper.
okay.
Exactly, that's the word. Okay, so we'll go with Shania first.
No, this is too pressurizing.
No, no, it's not
But okay,
pressurizing. It's
I'm,
chill.
I feel
Okay.
like I'm just put red light,
Do you
spotlight.
Instagram your food?
No. Mm-mm.
What's your guilty pleasure?
Sleeping, I guess.
Last movie you watched?
Uchai, like day before yesterday in the cinemas.
Nice. Annoying habit of yours?
Overthinking. or just being very persistent. When I'm driven or motivated to something and I want to do it, then I just go crazy about it.
An advice to your younger self.
Believe in yourself. Continue to believe in yourself. You're going the right path.
Nice. One thing you like about that, mate.
The fact I don't know. I think I'll tell you why I'm stumbling in this answer, because after five, just remakes, we're finally doing this podcast. But what I really like was ThatMate is I was given this wonderful opportunity to talk about gender equality, which I really haven't been given before, and I've always been finding a platform to talk about this thing. And thank you, Madhavi
Oh,
ma'am and ThatMate, for giving me this opportunity.
oh, our
I'm
pleasure.
sorry I stumbled. It wasn't something like the reason is because of the whole like inconsistency we had with starting this podcast. I don't know if you were jinxed or what. So that's the first thing that came in my mind.
No
But
worries.
speaking on a serious note, I am really grateful for getting this opportunity,
Yeah,
because I've been looking around. Many people talk about this topic. It's a very taboo topic. So getting the platform to talk about this openly, I'm really grateful for.
yeah. Please download the app and you can go through a lot of things. You can also book a counselor if you want to talk to them and if you need help.
Yes. Thank you.
Cool. Okay, so Mayoukh. Hmm.
Yes.
Uh, Name one legendary person you think you would have the most followers on social media and whom you like.
Yes. My God. Why do I have to think about this?
Just tell me,
Uh,
anyone.
uh, Howard Eminem.
Okay, cool. If you
Yes.
were to get a tattoo, what it would be?
Okay. Okay. Interesting. So, it's like a phrase. So, I picked it up from a movie. So, it's called "Years to the Ones Who Dream, Foolish as They May Seem." It's from La La Land.
Oh, amazing. How do you cope up with stress?
I sleep. I just go to sleep.
Okay, that is sometimes even I do that, but yeah. Uh, an advice to your younger self. Oh, an advice to your older self.
Older self.
Yes.
Ah, you're gonna be fine. Probably hope so.
And yeah, one thing you like about that, mate.
The fact that you can consult with counselors at any time without being judged.
Great. Thank you, guys. So this was our discussion on feminism. Are we there yet? Which makes me believe we are not there yet. A lot of things needs to be done, and I'm relying on these young Indians to help us out with that. Thank you so much.